So Solana's at a pivotal moment right now, and I don't think many people realize just how important right now is. And looking at this chart, I can tell you right now, it could go one of two ways. And I do have an opinion on which way I think it's going to go. But Bitcoin recently surpassed $100,000, and I know a lot of people's eyes are on the altcoins because typically following a pump in Bitcoin, you tend to see money flow into, the top 5, top 10 currencies, and then later on down into the smaller altcoins. Now, I wanted to make a point first that I think a lot of people don't realize. I pulled up the chart of EOS here because I wanted to make a point. You can see here when it was released in 2018, EOS hit an all-time high, and this is on the Binance platform here, so there might be some charts that go further back, but you can see here that it hit an all-time high of about $15, and after an entire cycle, we hit another bull market cycle in 2021, and we got close, but we didn't quite surpass that all-time high. So people don't understand that, altcoins don't even in a bull market don't necessarily make all-time highs, depending on the altcoin. And sometimes they do go a little bit higher than the previous, but not by much either, right? I think Solana is one of those newer, stronger cryptos, and I think it has the ability to double, triple its all-time high, no problem. And the reason for that is fundamental. It's not technical. It's fundamental. It's because of the capabilities of this coin, right? And I think fundamentally EOS has lots of limitations, and that's what prevented this from hitting an all-time high, right? So I just wanted to make that point first before getting into the technical analysis. That basically the type of coin and the fundamentals that underlie it need to be, decent before you make a bullish or bearish thesis on it. But outside of that, just looking at support and resistance regions, because I like to draw rectangles because it's not ever a clear cut thin 2D, well, it is 2D still, but you know what I mean, 1D line, right? So you can see a lot of historical support and resistance from the previous bull run back in 2021 has been coming into play again recently in 2024. We had an attempted breakout here, failed, successful breakout here, hit this resistance up here, back down, kind of traded in this zone for a little bit, and then boom, breakout, retest of the breakout, successful, right? And now once again, here we are trading, and we're above a support, under a resistance, right? And here, let me pull up my little brush here. So, this doesn't mean anything. We could go up, touch here, go down here, touch here. Nothing has changed until we actually break through one of these and then retest, right? So if we see this start pushing up against here, right, I'm gonna get excited. We might see some sort of kind of like ascending triangle or something, right? Before, or it might break through, juke some people out, come back down for a retest, and then either it's a fake out and we barely pass the previous all-time high and the bull run's over. That's obviously not a good scenario if you're long, right? There's a lot of different things that could happen, but it's kind of a pivotal moment, excuse me, because we passed one resistance, now it's support, passed another resistance, now support. All we have is one more resistance, and that's the previous all-time high. We tried to break through it, we failed, we wicked up, right? If we can get past this, there's no more actual resistance regions that exist, right? It'll make its own resistance on the way up. There's psychological, numbers like 300, right? Or 350, right? Like these big round numbers. But other than that, the sky's the limit, and FOMO can push this really high. So I would be on the lookout for Solana. It's definitely on my radar. if we go on a smaller time frame, you can see here actually, let me zoom in a bit. You can see we have, let me pull up a trend line here. This descending channel. Let me draw it a little better. Right? Something like this. Probably would draw it like that. So if we're gonna do with the wicks, right? This is what it would look like. And it's less of a channel and more like a descending triangle, I feel like, if you draw it all the way down. So this is, a range where if we break above this line, right, that might squeeze us to eventually push above this resistance up here, right, on a smaller time frame. And yes, I'm calling daily small because, technical analysis is not really reliable on anything less than, I'd say 4 hours is the smallest that would go, right? But even then, it's not super reliable. So zooming back out on the weekly, also just wanted to note, if we take a look at the momentum waves here, you can see we're starting to see a red dot up here, meaning momentum is curving downward. We had a lot of buying here, and people are starting to take profits, which is natural. But I wouldn't be too worried about this, just because, especially with crypto, when you have these extended upward runs, this doesn't necessarily need to go straight down like that. It can probably just, look something like this as it runs, and not to mention on the daily, it's actually curving upwards, right? So on the daily time frame, momentum has reset completely, and it's starting to round off, and buyers are starting to come in. So when you have kind of conflicting momentum on different time frames like this, what that basically means is that it could go either way. The weekly might be a little bit more reliable, but it might not materialize. This might not mean anything, especially with crypto. You can see down here we had negative momentum nonstop for about a straight year. So we could easily have positive momentum for, months, if not a year as well, right? Even if we're seeing lots of red dots appearing. So overall, I think just the fact that we're at all-time highs, that's already a good sign. I think we're one breakout away from, ending up somewhere around here, right? Obviously, I would probably use Fibonacci for take profit, and I think that's what people are going to use for resistance, because we're going to be in uncharted territory. But the problem is we don't know, like, are people going to take it from this low? It's hard to tell. But yeah, I think someone might say, like, okay, if it breaks out here, move it down, drag it down. Hold on. Won't let me drag it down to this low. Fine. So you can see maybe 325, 365, 436, and then your last take profit 522, right? You might get something like that. You can see this line and this line and this line line up with those support resistances that I drew without using Fibonacci. So that kind of re-solidifies confidence in this retracement. And down, yeah. So I think if you're gonna let it break out, come back down for the retest, make a long, I would take profits at these levels personally. And then if it just bounces off, makes some sort of a double top, comes back down here and breaks below this support with a retest, I would make a short and I would take profits using Fibonacci, but in reverse. So that's my game plan. I'm probably going to do some analysis on Bitcoin later. So, feel free to subscribe if you're interested in that.